Hi everybody, I hope everyone's doing great. You're live with New Image College today. And today we are doing a pedicure. So you're going to learn all the steps you need to know for doing a full pedicure. Now I'm going to try to have this pedicure done within 45 minutes. You shouldn't take longer than 45 to 60 minutes to complete this service. So we're doing a regular polish today. Next week I'll show you a gel polish on the feet. Now we have pedi saddles that we use here, and lots of salons have different chairs and pedi thrones for clients. But I'm going to do the service in a regular chair as the esthetician because I know you guys at home don't have pedi thrones. And to be honest, a lot of professional salons do pedicures like this anyway in a chair, and they have the client's feet in their lap. So I've started off with a folded up towel on the ground in front of my client, and I've got my pedi bowl, stainless steel preferably because you can disinfect stainless steel. You cannot disinfect 100% with plastic materials. Plastic is porous and it harbors bacteria, so yes, you can disinfect the surface, but inside the porous parts of the plastic, there'll still be viruses and bacteria and fungus that can live and grow. So big stainless steel bowl. I believe this big stainless steel bowl is a big bowl from IKEA. I think it's just a big sized salad bowl. It works great. So you don't necessarily have to go looking for pedi bowls. You can find online at the Bay or Wayfair or IKEA and just find something that's stainless steel. Okay? I've got my trolley set up. I'm right-handed, so everything is on my right-hand side. My client has already picked out her polish color because she came 15 minutes early for her appointment. She's already filled out her client consultation form. I've read over all of her information. Now she's a repeat client. I did do her manicure last week, so I'm going to ask her how her treatment was from last week. How was the polish application? Were you happy with everything?
It's amazing. I've been doing lots of gardening and yard work, and it hasn't chipped. It hasn't started to lift, so I'm really happy with it.
Perfect. Great. Okay. And I know my client doesn't have any health issues or anything, but you can always ask a repeat client if there's been any changes in her health or changes with her skin since the last time you saw her. Now, I just saw her last week, but normally you would see your client every 2 weeks or every 4 weeks. Okay. I have all my metal implements, my files, my buffers. I have my foot paddle, so this is different from last week. I have a few different foot files, callus removers I'm going to show you. We have the wooden one that you got in your kit. There's also metal ones you can get that are quite coarse and easy to disinfect. And then there are glass foot files that you can buy as well, that again are easy to disinfect and reuse. They're very breakable though, they break easily if you drop them. These two, the metal and the glass, are a little more expensive, but they will last longer than your wooden one. The wooden one will probably last you a good solid 6 to 12 months, but then the rough grit starts to peel off just from being disinfected over and over and over. Make sure, because this is wood, we know that wood absorbs water, it becomes waterlogged, and then the sticky rough grit will come off. So don't, after your pedicure, throw your foot paddle into the bowl and leave it until the end of the pedicure. Wash this completely separate, okay? So I got my client soaking right away. You always want to get your client soaking right away. She's wearing a short skirt or short shorts. Lots of people are going to be doing this over the summer to make them feel comfortable. Always have a nice clean towel to put over their legs and to keep them warm. I have a large towel over my legs and a small black towel. I have an extra black towel because from cleaning, buffing, filing, pushing back the cuticles, it's going to get wet and soiled. So before I do massage, I'm going to take this away and I can get a clean towel. Okay? And I've got lots of paper towel ready and got cotton, non-acetone, and acetone. Okay? So I'm going to remove her polish. If her polish isn't that easy to remove, I'm going to use acetone. Sometimes I like using acetone anyway. So we always work from your left to right, just like the manicure. So I'm going to grab her right foot Dry it off. Get some cotton. You can grab it. It's fine. And from the outside in, starting with the pinky, moving into the big toe. When you're removing polish, don't scrub. It's really annoying for the client. It's almost painful when people are scrubbing on the top of the surface of the nail. So I just counted to 10 with a firm pressure, and most of all of it comes off. Count to 10. Most of it comes off. Don't do that. I find some nail techs are way too aggressive, and that hurts me. So the best way to learn what not to do and what to do is get services yourself. And you don't have to worry, like there's a little bit left over there. Don't worry too much because I'm going to soak the foot. I'm putting cuticle remover on. I'm buffing the foot. So by the time that's all finished, the nail plate will be completely clean. And be careful if you're using white towels and you're removing polish. Don't put your soiled cotton on the white towel. That's why I have a black towel, but I'm still not going to put my soiled cotton on my towels or my linens. Now I'm going to ask my client, actually, this is the one that has the gel on it, right? Okay. So I'm using acetone. She has a little bit of gel from her previous pedicure. So I'm just going to leave this on for about a minute, and then I'm going to use my rough grit and file it right off. If she had a full set of gel applied, I would obviously do the tin foil and cotton wraps and leave it on for 15 minutes and then push it off. But this is just a little piece. So what I'm going to do is grab a medium to rough grit file. You can see it comes off really easy with a rough grit. Just make sure you don't file into the actual nail plate too much. Toenails are usually thicker, more ridges, more yellowing, so you can usually do a lot of buffing and filing on them without any damage. Okay, so we have the polish off. Now I'm going to file. Now, unlike the fingers, you can seesaw, you can go back and forth on the feet. It's really important to make the free edge completely straight or completely round. Make sure it's your shape is completely even on the left to the right. I'm pushing down on the big toe, I'm pushing down on the toes around and then lifting up the toe, pulling back the skin of the nail I want to shape. Now I'm wearing gloves and a mask because we all have to do that now because of the virus going around. but I would wear a mask and gloves for a pedicure anyway, because there's lots of nail dust that comes up into your breathing zone. Nail dust isn't necessarily bad for you, but it's an organic substance. But at the end of the day, you'll find if you're breathing all that in all day, you're going to feel stuffed up, kind of like you have allergies, and that's not very fun. So whenever you're filing and buffing, always wear a mask. Now if I find that the toenail is a little thicker, there's lots of skin or debris, I will use my rough grit and I'll go over the surface of the nail before I buff. That one's okay. Okay. Now you're going to buff. Buffing is great for removing discolored toenails, yellowing on the toe, ridges, cuticle, skin. Feel okay?
Yeah,
Okay,
perfect.
good. Always checking in with your client. Make sure you're not hurting them or being too rough. I'm going to go over around the cuticle area. I see lots of skin and debris right in the corners. So I'm going to use my medium grit and I'm going to get right in there and just kind of file it off. Okay. Just duster brush any excess dust off. And now I'm going to use my cuticle remover. Massage it in. Okay, so this foot goes in the water and the other foot comes out. Just bend your knee and kind of, how does that feel?
Perfect.
I think that'll be better for them for now.
Okay.
But if you need to straighten it out, just let me know. So again, we're going to remove the polish. Now that cuticle remover, while it's in the water, is taking away all the yellowing and it's almost lightening the nail. Think about a facial. When you have exfoliant on, it brightens and evens out uneven texture. Your cuticle remover does the same thing. It doesn't just work on the cuticle to soften the cuticle. It also brightens the nail plate. Your toe polish matches my finger polish now.
I can see that.
Now, if this was a really deep red or purple or black color, you have to be careful with the staining on the cotton. If I'm going back to remove polish on a different toe, I could completely stain the skin and it would have like a black tint or a purple tint or a red tint. So be careful with those highly pigmented colors. And if that's the case, just always get a new piece of cotton while you're removing. And this toe is just regular polish.
It has a little bit of the
Just a little
gelish
bit?
on the
Okay.
end. That's been growing out since last November.
Wow. Perfect. I think everybody is long overdue for their pedicure now.
Yeah.
I know there's a few businesses that I've heard of, a few of my students that own businesses, and I see a lot on Facebook as well. I'm sure you guys have as well. Some businesses are opening up slowly. They have the plexiglass barrier. Obviously, they're wearing masks and gloves, and they're making their clients wear a mask as well, which is good. So that's great that we can get some normalcy back in our lives. Medium to rough grit file, just getting that gel off. It's just a little bit, so I don't need to soak. Okay, so we start our filing from the outside in, pushing those other toes down and lifting up the one. Try not to bump into the toe next to the one you're working on with your file. If my client had really long toenails, obviously I would ask if she wanted me to cut them down with my clippers. Her toenails are a nice length, they're not too long, but if they were, you would have had to cut the toenails first. Just duster brush any excess dust off and buffing. And you can buff the skin as well. If you see rough little uneven bits of skin, you can buff right over it and take that right off. Fluffing our last toe. A few more ridges in there. I'm just going to file those down. Okay. Take the excess dust off and apply your cuticle remover. Massage it in. Okay, and switch feet. I'm going to turn my towel around, put all the little skin bits inside, and now I have a clean towel. I can dry my client's foot. Now we're going to do cuticle work. You can see how nice and bright the toenails are. Not that it's going to matter because we're going to be putting polish on top of them. Okay, so my cuticle pusher is this long metal implement starting from the outside in, and we're pushing the cuticle in just like we did during the manicure. Being very gentle. The toes can be really sensitive. People's cuticles can be very sensitive. If you push back the cuticle too aggressively, sometimes they might even start to bleed from too much trauma. Once you've finished pushing the cuticles, you're going to get your nippers. Remember, this little clasp, you have to move upwards before you can use your nippers properly. The toes tend to have a little more skin. Now I have a paper towel here I'm just going to put under just to collect any extra skin. Just makes for an easier cleanup. Bringing the nippers to the left side when you're doing the left part of the cuticle. And you can nip skin that's not part of the upper cuticle. You can nip the skin on the side here. You can nip any loose bits of skin at the free edge. Just be really, really careful not to over nip. You don't want to cause injury, making our clients more susceptible to infection. Okay, when you're done nipping, apply your cuticle oil. And get your cotton-tipped orangewood stick. Roll it on. Nice and tight. Make sure that when you're rolling your cotton on the end that it's not too poofy, it's not too thick. Otherwise, when it goes in, it'll get stuck and it'll get stuck in your cuticle oil. But remember, this is a new orange wood stick and a new file and a new little orange buffer for every client. So remember, we don't reuse these things. Massage it in. Okay, so this foot's not going to go back in the bowl. The water's cold by now anyway. As soon as that cuticle oil goes on, we put the foot off to the side. I'm going to remove this bowl completely and just get it out of the way. And I'll bring this foot up. And we will push back the cuticles. What is that? Oh. Wow, this mask makes such a big difference. So my lovely client brought me a homemade mask. She knows somebody that makes them, and they gave her a bunch, so she brought me one. And it's really nice to work with. I don't feel like my face is sweating at all. I don't feel too hot. So if you get the chance to make your own masks or get one or buy one from somebody, I highly recommend it. Does that feel okay?
Yeah. But you're right, it is tender at the top. Like
A little bit,
little
yeah?
bit, yeah.
Yeah. So always check in with your client and ask them what their sensitivity level is. Cotton tipped orange wood stick. a new piece. Your cuticle oil. Massage that oil in. Okay, and down. Now we're going to do our callus removal. So I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to open this up. I'll grab this leg. So I'm going to dampen this just a little bit in my bowl of water. And you're just going to, so instead of getting the client to hold their leg up, put your forearm on your knee and just let them have all the weight in your hand. Yeah. You don't want your client having to hold up their leg. It's super uncomfortable for people that have back issues or older people or anyone for that matter. So I have my forearm, all the weight is on my forearm and my forearm is supported by my knee. So all I'm doing is grabbing underneath the ankle here, behind the ankle, and just keeping the foot in place. Now you almost want the skin to roll off like an eraser. So lots of friction. You can see it starting to pill now. Now when it starts to pill and flake off like that, you can see that. That's what you want. I find that if your pedicure paddle is too wet, it doesn't flake off as easy. Like the skin doesn't roll off as much. Yeah, it smooths the callus out, but you want to see it coming off. There's a rough grit and then a medium to soft grit. So start with the rough and then go with your soft to smooth it out. Now there's another way you can do this. You can turn to the side and you can have your client like this and you can hold like that. And you can do the underneath kind of pushing into your paddle.
Ticklish.
Lots of clients find this ticklish. So just keep going, don't stop until they can't take it anymore. Because if you ask them, is this ticklish? They're going to say, yeah, it is. But they still want their callus off. Okay, that's good. Put that foot down. Now I'm going to just clean this paddle, but I'm not putting it and leaving it in my pedicure bin. So the metal one, because the metal is disinfected or it's sprayed with disinfectant, I'll show you, we use Virilex. You spray it on and you leave it for 10 to 15 minutes and it fully disinfects. But I don't want to rub this residue on my client. So make sure you always rinse your implements that you disinfect with. So the other foot now. Okay. So how does this one feel in comparison to the other one?
It does feel stronger, more powerful, I think.
Yeah. You
But
have.
it doesn't.
It's not uncomfortable
No,
or.
not at all.
This foot actually has way more callus.
Flip flop season. And I think my last sun holiday did just put in Palm Springs around the pool deck.
Mm-hmm.
So I do notice in summer that I get that. In the winter I don't really.
Yeah. Way more common for your clients to have more callus in the summer because of that reason. Flip-flops, going barefoot, not wearing socks as much. Just be careful not to overfile. If you overfile, your client could become sensitive. Say she was a runner, she was going to go for a jog after this, and I took too much callus off. It would give her big, tender, painful purple blood blisters all along the back of her heel. So you want to really make sure, just relax. And you want your client to relax because you want the weight of the foot hitting this. So instead of you putting all the pressure in, they're dropping the pressure on. So you're just going up and down around the heel without applying pressure. It's too much work. Okay, now the medium grit side. Around the toe, especially the edge of that big toe. And if people are extremely ticklish, just focus on the outer heel and the upper padding. Don't do the middle where everyone's ticklish. Okay. Rinse. And down. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of this towel that has all my foot debris and skin in it. Just going to put it here. I'm going to make sure that I don't have any debris here. Fold your towel over so it's nice and fresh and clean. Now I'm going to close all my containers that I might knock over and spill. Make sure all your lids are put back on. Make sure your trolley is nice and organized. Doesn't look like a hurricane just hit it. Okay. So we start with the foot that we started with in the beginning, and we're going to go right into our massage. So we start with warming the massage cream in your hands first. And then we just start with effleurage moves right up to the knee. You always want to include the knee if you can. Some people that are wearing really tight pants or just tights that only come up to here, you can actually just get them to take them off if they want a full massage, and then just wrap them in a towel or a little gown. So you do your effleurage 6 times. Get more cream. Circle the ankles. Move down to the metatarsals. And when I go in between the metatarsals, I kind of draw all the way up the shin and the calf with a firm pressure, but always check in with your client. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm. That's great.
And that's three rounds of this move. So we've done our first round, on to our second. Last round. Now you're massaging the toes. Oh, I have a hole in my glove, so we'll just change that. Always have extra gloves at your station. If your nails are longer or you have like acrylic claws, it's going to be harder not to pierce your gloves. And the sweatier or the wetter or more damp your hands are, the harder it is to get the gloves on. So if you have a little bit of baby powder nearby, it'll make your life a lot easier. Circle, circle, circle. It's kind of like a figure eight. You don't really have to do the whole figure eight movement. You can just circle around the phalanges. And as you come off the toe, kind of pinch off the toe. Oh, dry. Just keep adding cream as you need it. More is better than not enough. Okay, now you're going to do some kneading. Nope, that glove broke. Just dry your hands before you put your new glove on. My hands are a little sweaty. It's okay. Good enough. So kneading with your thumbs. Kneading the under part of the foot. Now on the big toe side, I am massaging down. And you'll see this move better on the other foot. On the pinky side, massaging down as well, but on this angle. Then I'm going to use my fist and I'm going to kind of iron out the arch, go around the outside, kind of in a circle over the padding, down the arch, around. Do some rotations, some stretching. Massage up the calf to finish your moves. And then I'm going to get my client to bend their knee. And I'm going to do some percussion. So you can kind of do some tapotment. You can use your inner fists, and you can do that. Really good for blood circulation, loosens up the muscle. slide off and finish. Okay, other foot. Effleurage right up to the knee. Circles around the ankles. In between the metatarsals. The same bones on the hand are called the metacarpals. Oop. And drawing up the outer calf muscle. That's our second round. One more round. You're drawing up and you're putting pressure right in between those little bones, not on the little bones, in between them. Okay, now you're going to do your circles, kind of pinching off each toe. Now we're going to do our kneading. I'm kneading the bottom of her foot, her heel, her inner padding, her arch, her upper padding with my thumbs. Now I'm massaging down from the big toe down the arch, down to the heel. Other side. Pinching down with your thumb facing down all the way down the pinky side of the outer foot. Now I'm going to do my fist, and I'm going to iron out the arch. Bring it around the outside over.
tired.
Massage up that calf. Bend the knee. Do some tapotment. Good. You can put the foot down. So now we have to prepare for the polish, and we're doing regular polish. So I'm going to take her right foot and I'm going to clean with my brush. So everyone has a brush. Everyone's brush is a different color. I'm going to wet it, and I'm just going to break up all the oils on the surface. When we do gel polish, we polish first with the gel, and then we do our massage last. I have a clean towel here that I'm going to use. I'll put this under the foot. And almost kind of scrub the nail plate, getting all the oils off. And dry in between the toes. Don't want to leave any moisture in between the toes. Okay, I'm going to clean the other one. Put both up, yep. Okay. Now our extra step is get rid of our old cotton and get some fresh cotton. We're going to scrub the nail with acetone. You can use acetone or alcohol. Cotton tipped orange wood stick, and just scrub and dehydrate. Now everyone has a dehydrator in their kit as well. You can use that as an extra step, but don't use that instead of this. I want you to really get some raw cotton and really scrub the nail plate. If you're using your brush on your dehydrator all the time on nails that potentially have oils on them, you could contaminate your dehydrator. And with the cotton on the end of your orange wood stick, you can get right into the little crevices and grooves. A lot better. Now it's probably going to take you guys 2 hours to do your pedicure when you first learn, and that's totally fine. Take your time. You're going to have to take your time nipping the cuticle, filing, getting your perfect shape, practicing your massage moves. So obviously the first maybe 2 weeks you are going to take a little longer, but I want you guys to time yourself every time you do it and try to get your time down every single time. By the end of this nail module, you should be able to do a pedicure in 45 minutes. Gel polish, 1 hour. Okay. I'm going to leave actually a little bit of acetone in my cap just in case I need to do some cleanup. So now we have to wrap the toes. This tissue got a little wet, so that's not good. I'm going to get some clean tissue for my client. So foam toe separators are porous and they harbor bacteria. So yes, they're one-time use per client. That's fine if you have the money to do that. If not, then you're using the tissue twist method. The tissue twist method is my favorite because it absorbs all the moisture in between the toes. It's soft and it's inexpensive. So I'm going to get my client to pass me her foot. You start at the pinky with the tip up, facing up. Then you wind it in, around, down, around, up. And just give it a little knot. Not really a knot, just tuck it in. You're not knotting it and pulling because if you pull, it's going to break. You're just tucking it under, okay? Make your triangle, roll, place it up, down and around. Just like that. Okay. So we are going to base coat first. So I'm going to actually get you to put that one down, yeah, and then bend and kind of do that. Comfortable?
Yep.
Okay. When you're working like this, you always want to hold the bottle in your hand like this. Wipe one side of the brush. And just a nice thin coat, nothing crazy. If it's too thick and too wet, then your color layers aren't going to dry as quick as they should. This is just a nice little base primer. It's going to help the polish adhere better to the nail. You know when you do those rush jobs and you just quickly put layers of polish on without a base coat? They don't stay on very well. It's because you don't have your base coat, your base layer. Okay, next foot. Always working with every move that you do from the outside in. Okay, next foot. When you shake, always roll, never actually shake because you'll get air bubbles. first coat nice and thin. Make sure you're not flooding the cuticle with color. And just glide it on nice and slow. If you get it on the skin, then just go back with an orange wood stick. Dip your orange wood stick in non-acetone or acetone and clean around the edges. You have to pull the skin back a little bit to get right in the corners, right in those sidewalls. Okay, next. Good. Now, most people that are coming for a pedicure know that they should bring flip-flops. The person booking their appointment should tell them wear flip-flops or open-toe sandals. If they expect to be leaving your salon after 15 minutes to put their regular running shoes or boots back on, they will wreck their polish. So realistically, with a regular polish application, you have to wait at least 20 to 30 minutes, minimum. If they have to wear their shoes, then just tell them not to put socks on. It's always the socks that will destroy the polish. The big toes are kind of ridgy. Ridged.
Probably from
The gel.
in my attempt to remove it.
So I'm dipping my orange wood stick in acetone and I'm just cleaning up around the cuticle. Making sure my cuticle line is nice and sharp. Okay, switch. If you get polish on the skin, clean it right away between each toe, because if it dries, it's just that much harder to remove. Your second coat should go on nice and smooth. Make sure you're really light on your brush. Remember, don't be too heavy on your brush because that's when you get the ridging. Switch. Nope, too much polish there. Now, if you're finding that this type of position is hard for your client, if they're in a chair, then you can get them, or you can sit on the floor to do this. So if I'm sitting on the floor, it'll make her leg a lot lower and not, it won't be as uncomfortable for her or him. So you can always sit on the floor and do this as well. And when I'm cleaning up my nail, I'm just dabbing on the tissue that I use. So having a tissue twist as a toe divider is also really good because you can use it to clean up the polish. A little more product for bigger surfaces. Oh, I almost wrecked that one. Be careful with your other hands. Make sure they're not accidentally brushing into your other nails. Super. Now I'm sweeping right across that cuticle line with my orange wood stick, making sure that it's not touching the skin. Switch. Now we're going to top coat. We don't have to wait for the polish to dry. Every layer, every top layer that you put on will dehydrate once you come to the other foot. So again, you're not brushing into this. You don't want your brush to bend. You want to have a little bit of a drop, a little bit of a teardrop there. And you're just lightly wisping it on. If I'm brushing into this and my brush is bending and it's not parallel, then I'm going to pull the color right off. And then I'm going to have pink color in my top coat. Next. So I'm just going to do one more nail and we're finished.
So is it always 2 coats with regular polish?
Yes. Always 2 coats with regular polish for the most part. Unless your polish is a little thicker and you've got a nice even coat your first try, but normally, yeah, always 2 coats. Okay. Yeah, you can bring your feet up and then we can kind of, I don't know if you can see that. Maybe bend your knees, go flat. So we're going to tell our client to be careful putting her sandals back on. If she can stay seated for 5 to 10 minutes, that would be great anyway, but she's got her open toe sandals here so she can slide right in, which is perfect. So I'm going to clean up. Now I'm going to take my bowl with all my implements and everything to the sink. I'm going to scrub with my little scrub brush, and I'm going to scrub all my tools, all my metal implements. I'm going to dry everything, and then just like the manicure, I'm going to put my metal implements into the disinfectant. I'm going to completely wash my petty bowl with hot soapy water, dry it, and then I spray my petty bowl with my disinfectant. Okay, leave it wet, face up for at least 10 minutes, and then you can rinse it if you want. But as long as the surface of your petty bowl is completely saturated with disinfectant for at least 10 minutes, it's disinfecting, okay? Just be very careful to wear your mask. You don't want to breathe this in. You don't want to have it in an area where you're eating, like the kitchen, near a pantry, preferably outside unless you have a local exhaust system. I have my Clorox bleach cleaner here. So once I've cleaned all my items off my trolley, I'm going to spray down my trolley and wipe my trolley with Clorox bleach disinfectant. I'm going to clean my chair. When my client is gone, I'm going to wipe down her entire chair and make sure that everything is sanitary for my next client. Okay? Just make sure if Clorox bleach is compatible with certain fabrics. So don't spray this to disinfect a chair that has a silk fabric on it or a pleather. Maybe I usually use Windex on the chairs. So this is good for like your hard equipment, stainless steel, metals, tabletops. But if you need something a little gentler, then Windex works great for everything. Okay? So we are going to go into diabetes. I know you guys had some questions for me. Sorry, I've been really busy this last week. I haven't been able to get back to all of your emails, but I will be doing that tonight and tomorrow. Okay, so don't think I forgot you. I've seen your emails and I've been trying to respond as quickly as I can. But I will get to you, I promise. The diabetes is just the diabetes notes and the diabetes questions. So you guys don't actually have a chapter in your manual. So all of that should be in your folder. You have diabetes notes, a diabetes handout, and diabetes questions. Okay, and then you'll have your diabetes quiz put in there this week. So I'm just going to pause for a minute. We're going to take a 2-minute break. I'm just going to set up for my theory. We're going to read through the diabetes notes together, and I'll be back in 2 minutes. right,
Amber,
Tank?
you're so good at all this. You're a good little YouTuber. Very good teacher.
Thank you. Hi guys, we're back. Okay, so I hope everyone saw that demo okay. I'm pretty sure we set the angle up pretty awesome, but we can always troubleshoot tomorrow during our Zoom. I'm going to be doing manicure and pedicure demos throughout the entire module, so I'm going to be doing them over and over and over. So if you didn't really like one demo, I'm always going to be doing other ones, and you guys can always give me suggestions too. Okay, so we're just going to quickly read over the diabetes notes. Pretty straightforward, 1 page of notes and 1 page of questions. Okay, so everything you're going to need is on this one little page. So I'm just going to read through it, and then you guys can work on your diabetes questions today, okay, or later on in the week. Diabetes is a disorder of the islets of Langerhans, hormones secreted in the pancreas to regulate glucose levels. So Langerhans was actually the physician, the doctor, who figured all of this out. So he found out that these hormones were secreted in the pancreas that affected and regulated glucose levels, which created a diabetic type 1 or type 2 person. So the islets of Langerhans, little islands, the tissue looks like little islands of Langerhans. So that's why that is named the way it is. You can either have low insulin levels resulting in high sugar levels in the blood, or you can have high insulin levels resulting in low blood sugar. So if your insulin levels are low, opposite is high blood sugar. If your insulin levels are, if you're low insulin, yeah, you're high sugar. If you're high insulin, then you're low sugar, okay? So if you're low sugar, lots of people carry around little things of juice or little candies or things that are sweet just in case they need to bring their blood sugar levels higher. If somebody's going into diabetic shock, though, you should never assume that they need sweets or juice because they could have high sugar levels. Now, high sugar levels is a little more deadly, I guess you could say. When someone goes into diabetic shock, they need medical attention right away. So diabetes can be very serious depending on what type of diabetic you are. And if you don't get medical attention right away, it can be life-threatening. So if a client of yours goes into diabetic shock, you need to call 911 right away. Physical symptoms. So if you are diabetic, you heal slowly. You have poor circulation. You're insensitive to heat, cold, pain, and pressure because of sensory neuropathy. It says here because of sensory, the neuropathy is missing off of that. So number 3, under physical symptoms, insensitive to heat, cold, pain, pressure because of sensory neuropathy, which means nerve damage. You get nerve damage from poor circulation. You get poor circulation from unbalanced glucose levels. So it's one thing leads to the next, leads to the next. And then if you have high blood sugar levels and you have infections, sugar actually feeds infections. So then it makes your infections worse. And your infections don't heal because your circulation is bad. So, and the skin is very, very delicate because of the poor blood circulation. So you can puncture and wound and cause lesions on the skin a lot easier. So as an esthetician and a nail tech, it's really important to understand all of this and be extremely careful on your diabetic clients. You want to stay away from all metal implements really, and just stick to your orange wood sticks and buffers and make sure you bevel all the edges off of your files. You want to do gentle massage. You don't want to nip the cuticles. You want to use a nice mild water temperature. It's not that they're going to find a hot water too hot. They'll even find a warm water too hot sometimes because remember the skin is so delicate. And avoid things like paraffin, hot paraffin add-ons and sea salt scrub add-ons. Anything abrasive you want to avoid completely. And to be honest, most diabetic clients know the severity of their condition and their doctors educate them on their condition, so they take it quite seriously. So they will be aware of that, and they will 9 times out of 10 tell you, don't nip my cuticles, I'm a diabetic, careful, don't use the nail clippers, don't take off too much callus. So most people are aware and will let you know. Symptoms of too little sugar are disorientation, nausea, perspiration, clammy skin, mood change, and moodiness. Symptoms of too much sugar are rapid breathing, breath smells like acetone, and aggression. So sometimes people say that if you have high blood sugar levels in a client and they're going into diabetic shock, they almost look belligerent or drunk. And they're like, F you and F that and out of my way. And their breath smells like acetone, so you think they've been drinking. So you have to be careful and aware that that could be a situation you might deal with. Have I dealt with that over the 20 years I've been in the industry? No, but I have heard stories, and this is a real condition. Two main types of diabetes. There's type 1, insulin dependent, and type 2, non-insulin dependent. Type 1, controlled by injections, and type 2, controlled by diet and lifestyle. Most diabetics will inform you of their disease. Yes, they will. That is true. Now, approximately 3 million people have diabetes in Canada. This number has gone up since, I believe, this year. It's gone up a little bit. So the population is roughly around 34 million, so about 10 to 15% of our population has diabetes. But it would be actually really beneficial for you if you Googled this information and found out what the facts for this year actually are. Find out exactly what the statistics and the percentage of people in Canada that have diabetes. And then fun facts. This was a couple years ago when we did these statistics, so they have changed. But China's at 10%, Japan's at 20%, India is at 30%, USA at 30%, and of course Canada at about 10%. So that's it really, guys. I want you to work on these questions. I want you to maybe do a bit of Google research on the percentages of people that actually have diabetes in Canada, or maybe your home countries. I know not everyone's from Canada, so maybe you want to check out Korea or Mexico or Brazil, whatever country you're from. It would be interesting to know those stats, right? Try to work on these questions today. I'd like to kind of go over them in our Zoom tomorrow. And again, think of questions you want to ask me about the pedicure. We're going to open it up now. If you guys have any questions for me right now about the pedicure demo, then or the diabetes notes, feel free to ask me. If not, we will address all of those questions tomorrow. Can't see. Need my glasses. Perfect, everyone's checked in. Can everybody make the Zoom tomorrow, 9 a.m.? I hope so. Yeah, Sylvia, I don't know what happened with you last week. Oh, I think you said you had the wrong link, or you clicked on the wrong link. Perfect. Okay, guys, I'm going to sign off for today. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will talk to you tomorrow morning. Bye.